welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time worldwide on the iHeartRadio network, a 250 million people platform. And we want to thank them for bringing us on the $1 Million Show. And also I want to say thank you to all of our Latin American followers, bienvenido. Also shouting out to London, England, as well as Berlin, Germany, the great country of Canada. Also, you good old boys down in Australia as well as Africa. But Big C, I know you good old boys down south. You guys do a great job of covering sports and entertainment. What's going on with you good old boys down south, Big C?
Well, Charlton, we heard the Pac-12 just had their media conference, and they were talking about how fearful they were to start the season.
Okay.
They're going to be opening up the season against the SEC, so they know that they're starting off the conference and the national championship race in the whole.
Yeah.
So they're a little worried about that. You know, Alabama's sitting around cruising, talking about, just another day in practice.
Yes.
And, everything will be handled in time. But, we're happy, always happy to be on the air with you, Charlton, Monday through Friday. And I want to say to the women of America and our listeners around the world, it's a great time to be a woman.
Yeah.
You have a female that's been nominated for President of the United States, Hillary Clinton, and that's a kudos to all women, Charlton.
Yeah.
To show the power and the perseverance of what women have endured and what they've achieved over the last 50 years in America.
Yeah, well, see, Big C, that's amazing because in our sports world, there's always politics. There's always something political going on, something with the entertainment industry going on, and I appreciate, especially being raised by a mother who did such a fabulous job with raising me and my family. I just appreciate all the hard work, and sometimes women don't get credit for it, but I'm so encouraged. Not only, it's not even about Hillary Clinton, it's about women in general, even going back to Rosa Parks making a stand for something. So I'm really appreciative of the country going forward and not going backward. So as far as making America great again, I think our greatness is ahead of us, Big C. Your thoughts on that?
Well, they say behind every great man there's a great woman. Well, right now, we have the opportunity to have a great woman leading the country.
Yeah.
And that will set a precedent, Charlton, to show women how powerful they are and how much they're really needed in America beyond the past history that's been labeled on them.
Yeah.
And, when you think about how women have evolved, look at female professional sports.
Yeah.
You look at Wimbledon, the dominance of the Williams sisters in
amazing.
Wimbledon. You look at the LPGA, how it's grown over the years. There used to be players like Nancy Lopez and Patty Sheehan that you only heard about. Now that there's a wealth of female golfers that are notable all around the world. Here in the U.S., we have dominant players.
Yeah.
And when you look at, like I said, tennis, you got the WNBA, Charlton, and it's really grown in the past 2 decades to where women can play professional sports. An average salary in the WNBA is just a little over $74,000 a year, Charlton.
Ouch.
For females being able to work 4 to 5 months out of the year. That's a great growth when you think about a lot of men 50 years ago could never even dream of making $74,000 a year, Charles.
Yeah, well, a lot of guys make $74,000 a game when they're the top athletes in the men's side of the court, Big C. It's ironic that a lot of men, let's just say in the NBA, a lot of these men were raised by women. But if their moms had a chance to play the sport, they get $74,000 a year if you're a top player. If you're a man, you get $74,000 a game. So when it comes to gender equality and equity, we know we have a long way to go, Big C. But what I'm really excited about is the NFL. And I know you've been at this business about 40 years and as an all-pro athlete, and you love pros football. And I want to say before we get into that this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go down and test drive one, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. Now, if you've ever driven a Cadillac Escalade, you know they're very powerful and luxurious, and it's a really smooth ride, kind of like the way the USC offense is going to go up and down the field against Alabama. Big C, it's going to be a smooth transition from what Lynn Swann is telling the LA media. Your thoughts on that, Big C? Are you guys afraid?
Well, we just see up and down every time they fall down and have to get back up. So I guess you can consider that a smooth transition. They'll find out what punishment means, Charlton. So, you play that finesse football on the West Coast, where you can't tell a cheerleader from a wide receiver. But when you come down
that's a low blow, Big C.
that they play down in the South, and you end up with a busted lip and a bloody nose.
Yeah.
Now you've been introduced to football, Charlton.
Well, it's funny because I've never seen a horse in such great shape. They talk about Secretariat and California Chrome. Have you seen that USC white Trojan horse running around? I don't know what they're feeding them since Les Swan got back.
They have these huge barbecue grills down here in the South. And when that beat is up there with those skin on it, it's hard to tell what it is, whether it's a horse or a cow. So, it's in great lean shape.
Yeah.
You better get barbecue.
Well, thank you for Barbecue Horse on Charlton and Big C Sports Worldwide. It's funny, I was just talking to a good old friend of mine from the South, actually from the great state of Louisiana, and we were talking about California football and the Pac-12 versus the SEC. We know USC's playing Alabama, and that's a win for the Pac-12. The really game that people are kind of on the edge about is UCLA going into College Station playing Texas A&M, the Aggies. And they're going to use those home officials at Texas A&M. So we're looking for a split from the Pac-12 and the SEC. We got our money on USC, but it might be something that Texas A&M pulls out a win over squeaky clean UCLA, Big C. But when you talk about the game coming up, the Jets finally, they took one of the best quarterbacks, and they made him wait for a long time. They only gave him about $14 million, Big C. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, Charlton, that's abominable. When you think about what quarterbacks make in the NFL, we talked about the kid down in Houston, Osweiler.
Yeah.
Who got a 3-year, $75 million, $47 million of that was
guaranteed. Yeah, guaranteed.
Guaranteed. He had 5 victories last year.
Yeah.
5 victories. And you look at what Ryan Fitzpatrick did with the Jets, Charlton, where he was 10-6 as a starter. Realistically, should have been 11-5. They should have made the playoffs, but he had that one debacle in the last game of the season.
Yeah.
But that's only worth $14 million in the largest, most productive media capital in the world. You look across town and see what Eli Manning is making.
Yeah.
I think his contract is a $120 million contract over 6 years.
Yeah.
And about 60 of that is guaranteed. And it's been a few years since the Giants have made the playoffs, so he's being paid on past performances.
Yeah.
And let me take you a little further into the NFL. Go to Chicago.
Yeah.
Another great city, the Windy City. Jay Cutler. Does anybody know what Jay Cutler's done lately?
He's complaining. Timber tantrum. He's on some kind of medication. Is that what you mean, Big C?
Well, you can blame it on medication, but if you're that bipolar, how can you play quarterback in the NFL?
Well, you're bipolar when you don't win. When you win, you're doing okay, Big C.
Well, and not a knock against the affliction that many people have had, Charles.
Yeah.
But, his $124 million contract and the Bears can't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And Tony Romo, he's about 124-25 with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I think they won 2 games last year.
Yeah.
So when you look at the disparity, how can you not pay the most intelligent quarterback in the NFL?
Yeah.
There's an MBA from Harvard, Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
And he has been productive everywhere he's been. He's become a journeyman quarterback in the NFL. But not by his doing it. You keep drafting the next great guy, saying that he's going to be the guy. When he was in Buffalo, they drafted E.J. Manuel. I don't even know if he dresses anymore. Tyrod free agent is a starting quarterback in Buffalo.
Yeah.
He's been in Houston, Charlton. How many quarterbacks have been through Houston?
Yeah.
This is a young man who has gotten an unjust ride in the NFL, but he's been productive.
Yeah.
And now, to give him this $14 million contract, what did the kid in Indianapolis, Luck?
Yeah, Andrew Luck. Yeah, he got lucky for not winning. But you don't have to win, Big C. If you get that kind of money, you take it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he had more interceptions than touchdowns last year, Charlton.
Yeah.
So I guess depending on who you are is what it's worth.
Yeah.
So if you're a winning quarterback without a big name and not a number 1 draft pick in the NFL, you're not worth much. But you can win. A la Tom Brady, who the commissioner just can't get him off his heart or his mind. He acts like they're former daters or something. Stalking outside his house and everything else.
Well, Roger Goodell, he made $44 million, and he spent almost as much as that trying to go after Tom Brady with the NFL's money. He could have been putting some computers into inner city schools, as we talk about all the time, Big C. But I also want to say that this segment is sponsored by the California Lottery. What could a buck do for you? Or in tonight's case, the Powerball, $2. What could $2 do for you? It's about $440 million is the winning purse on the California Lottery. It's Powerball. I believe it's worldwide, but I know I bought the winning ticket out here on July 27th. 2016 for Charlton and Big C Sports. And again, Big C, we can't tear the ticket down the middle. They said you can split the purse. So I don't know what you were talking about when you said just tear half the ticket, send it out to me, Big C. They won't take the ticket that way, Big C. Your thoughts on the lottery?
Just give me a corner of it, Charlton. That would do a lot for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And, it would go a long ways. Whether you take the lump sum or you take the annuity that they offer.
Yeah.
And most people don't realize, take the annuity.
Take the annuity.
Set it up into a trust.
Yeah.
That way you never go broke. Everybody can't say you got this kind of money.
Yeah,
in a family.
Yeah.
Trust it lasts forever.
Yeah, we know a lot of people, they can go broke with $100 million, Big C, especially when they realize they got to pay half of that in taxes. So they're taking it in a trust.
A lot of winners, Charlton, that has happened to. And when you think about NFL or NBA rookie,
that's like winning the lottery.
Actually, lottery winners, Charlton. When you drafted in the first round, you hit the lottery.
I agree.
And the families you just spoke about don't realize they have taxes, they have other responsibilities.
No, wait a minute. You good boys down south, but what do you guys know about taxes? I hear a lot of guys, they got their bank account is actually in a coffee can in the backyard someplace dug up, and that's why.
You gotta have a bank in the town.
Okay.
And if you don't have a bank in the town, you find a rock that nobody else can lift up and keep your money under the job.
Yeah, I think what happened on Wall Street scared a lot of boys. There are a lot of our coffee banks down in the South, from what I understand. I never understood the word coffee bank until I hung out with some good old friends. But Big C, I also want to say that I'm so excited about football, and I know we're going to get on that thing when college football kicks off, and we'll probably be the only show that does it more than once when they talk about the conferences getting together with their media day. Now, out here in California, it's not a top-tier conference, but the Mountain West Conference, where they have Fresno State, and they have San Diego State, and also Boise State has been on the scene. Air Force is out there, too. So a lot of those second-tier Division I programs that can win every now and then, they get into the big bowl games. Even UNLV down in the great state of Nevada's in there. And it's funny when they have the conference media day conference, and they're talking about what they're going to do to compete. But see, you guys down in the Southeast Conference, it's a whole different level because the stadiums are about 100,000 on average for everybody down there. Out here in the Mountain West, most stadiums average between 40 to 50,000 in fan base. Now, we talk about athletes being paid, Big C, and we know that, the NFL players get paid, but it's just another reality that you brought to my mind, and anyone listening worldwide, most of these guys will never see a paycheck, and that's why it's an antitrust violation not to pay someone for their labor, but they should get paid now, even if it's minimum wage, because it's less of a burden on the parents, and it's also a way for the schools to say that you matter more than just being a jock. Does that make sense, Big C, or is that out of bounds?
Well, Charlton, it's always made great sense to pay the athletes.
Yeah.
Ironically, there are so many players that are paid under the table that we don't hear about it in various ways.
Well, that's an SEC thing, Big C. I'm talking about overall. That's just the SEC from what I hear. But the Pac-10, no one gets paid under the table. And don't bring up Reggie Bush because that was on top of the table, Big C.
Well, no, that was paid at the front door.
Okay. That was a Trojan horse making deliveries, Big C. That wasn't a purse. That wasn't a booster.
Okay, so that's an injustice to players over the years
it's
in
a joke.
Basketball. As you spoke about the size of these sporting arenas, Charlton, and when you're jamming 115,000 people into a stadium, and you have another 15, 20,000 outside during the game time, Charlton, there's a lot of revenue being generated, whether it's through parking, whether it's through concessions, whether it's through gate tolls, Charlton. And when you look at these universities on game day, when you have a major college that will pay a smaller conference school $1.5 million to come in, Charlton, and hopefully take a butt whooping. There's a lot of money on the table. And so who is out there earning money? Is that the visiting university earning the money, or is it the athlete?
The kids don't get it.
To travel in and take that whipping and then go back home. And a lot of times, Charlton, they won't even fly. They will bus them in. Or bring them in by the train to make it more economical for the university. And so when you talk about using, not utilizing, but using these young college athletes for the growth, economic growth of a university, it is a total injustice in America. And people recognize it, but we're all so stuck on sports that we accept it. We accept the abuse that these guys go through and say, well, how do you pay that? You write a check or you pull out cash from ATM. That's how you pay them. Real simple. Same way you get paid on Friday work,
Yeah.
Same way paying that player Friday before the game, Charles.
Yeah, and that's funny, Big C. And I'd be remiss if I did not bring this up because I just think it's irony. And we still talk about athletes and their social responsibility, and I think a lot more programs are starting to pick it up, even though you've been doing it for the past year, Big C, even when we started at Salem Media. And I just remember this conversation again. We talked about Chris Rock at the Oscars and about how people boycotted the Oscars because there's not enough representation from people of color. But we said that Meryl Streep should have been the one saying it because she benefits from it, being a Caucasian woman in society, kind of their paragon of virtue, the new Marilyn Monroe in a sense. And last night she was speaking at the Democratic National Convention. And so it's great when you have people stand up and talk about their political views. It's just ironic. We talked about why not have her do it, but she's at the DNC. And I thought that was incredible. And one more thing I'll bring up, because we did talk about Spieth and Mickelson and Day and McIlroy and all those great guys, and how they're not being asked to have a social conscience, and Jim Nantz and all these good old boys that just take for granted that they have everything that this country has to offer. No discrimination. They have access to all the money and endorsement that a man could want, and they get the chance to travel around on private jets. Ironically, the only person I heard ask about having a social responsibility as an athlete on the golf course was Emmitt Smith, who hasn't scored a touchdown in a decade. He was asked about how do you become socially responsible and try to help contribute to young lives. I never heard that being asked of the Caucasian golfers, and I think that's so important because, ironically, we talked about it before, the sports world is more integrated than the church. And if we're going to talk about it once and then go on to the next subject, that's what most people do. But I just want that for our fellow broadcasting brethren. The only golfer I heard about being asked about social responsibility and having a Muhammad Ali consciousness, which is a black athlete by the name of Emmitt Smith, who hasn't scored a touchdown in a decade. And we have golf tournaments going on all over the country, the PGA Championship Tour. Now, we don't have any of those questions being asked. But I just hope that more people can get involved in doing what's right for all kids, because just like the DNC convention, all lives matter, Big C. I'll have you close on that before we get into the NFL, Big C.
Well, Charlton, when you live in a gated community where you have armed guards all the time and you have no black neighbors, you really don't have a reference or a line to draw in the sand as far as your feelings on that, because it's not a part of your life or part of your society.
Yeah.
And so these also feel that they're immune from that situation of what goes on. They turn on the news and say, these people will never stop doing this.
Yeah.
But they don't sit there when they turn on the news and see these things occurring saying, what is my fiscal and social responsibility in this scenario?
Yeah.
Do I open up more academies where I bring in minority children to teach them the game?
Yeah.
To show them that there's a game out there that people can play and earn a great living in. It's not always about dribbling or catching a ball.
Yeah.
It's about putting it down the green, hitting it straight, and having this social awareness, being in this type of lifestyle that everybody doesn't have to see you dunk or spike.
Yeah.
And that's what can be created, Charlton. There are people out there that have the ability to create these scenarios, whether they're African American, whether they're Anglo American.
Yeah.
But the Anglos need to step up to the plate. The Anglo announcers really need to step up to the plate and say, we have to create this social consciousness because we have this microphone every day.
Yeah.
Every weekend.
Yeah.
That we can explain to the world how there's a disparity in these games.
Yeah, I agree.
And how people can help bridge this gap that is in this particular sport.
Yeah.
We had one African American get into sports in the golf in the last 20 years, became the most dominant figure ever.
Yeah.
Okay? And no one, looked at him any different because he dominated the sport. Then all of a sudden, all these backlashes, he had to be cheating, he had to be doing this.
Yeah.
He had to have clubs that nobody else had.
Yeah.
It wasn't that he was a great person or a great athlete.
Right.
People were trying to find angles saying that he was doing things wrong. He was using steroids. Everybody in the game benefited from it.
Yeah.
Now they're all crying in the last couple of years. He hasn't won a tournament in a decade. But everybody's crying now because their economics are not what they were, Charlton, 12 years ago. They made more money 12 years ago than what they're making today because of this African-American individual, Charlton.
Yeah, and that's a great Tiger Woods. So I'm encouraging even my white brethren to do what was done for me back in 1996. Tom Kelly, who was a 41-year announcer for the University of Southern California football, he gave me an opportunity, as I worked as a spotter for him, a California versus Texas game. Here's an older Caucasian man So when it talks about black and white, it's about good, right and wrong, and I love that. And I don't want to just be another sycophant guy with a platform on the iHeartRadio network that just runs down scores, even though we'll do that too. But I want to make sure that all kids have some men who are intelligent enough and prescient enough to talk about inclusion, how it will help men and women. And I'm proud for Hillary Clinton, whether she wins or not. I think that more women who subconsciously maybe believe they can't get there because this glass ceiling she talks about, I think any person of color can understand that glass ceiling. It is invisible. But if you can see someone do it, I think Charlton and Big C Sports is like Hillary Clinton breaking that glass ceiling, because we're one of the few African-American run media outlets for a sports company, and we're not afraid to talk about things that might be painful to people who are comfortable and don't want anyone talking about the truth. And I also want to say that this segment is sponsored by United Labor Life Insurance, guaranteed $100,000 life insurance with no medical questions. And we're also endorsed by the American Heart Association and the American Cancer Society. We work with the unions all over the country under the AFL-CIO, and I'm looking for 1,000 brokers to join our firm and tweet out to Charlton and Big C Sports and let us know that you're looking for a job in the insurance industry, and I can take care of that. Also, Goosehead Property and Casualty, we're the leaders in the country. When it comes to property and casualty, we beat about 98% of the people. When it comes to a quote, tweet out to Charlton and Big C Sports for that. Now, Big C, you're one of the guys that love athletic quarterbacks. We know the NFL is tipping off. There was so much talk, and I really want to credit you for this, because if you recall, in San Francisco, Colin Kaepernick was the talk of all the NFL media talking heads out. Colin's going to be traded any minute now, and Colin's going to be leaving the 49ers any minute now, that he's the last quarterback to lead them to the Super Bowl, but that's not good enough, Big C. And any minute now, he's going to be traded. We heard that garbage back in February. I think he's still with the 49ers. He's just been cleared by his doctor to play after he's had surgery, Big C. Your thoughts on Colin Kaepernick working with Chip Kelly's offense?
Well, Charlton, we've had so many quarterbacks in the NFL that have been less productive in their career than what Colin Kaepernick had. Even the guy he's battling for the starting position, Blaine Gabbert, and I think he was a number 5 overall draft pick behind the great Cam Newton that same year.
Yeah.
And I think in his starting career in Jacksonville, he won maybe 5 games, Charlton.
Yeah.
And they drafted another quarterback to replace him 2 years after drafting him. They knew in Jacksonville that he wasn't the answer. So, I mean, San Francisco, they've had one great reclamation project at quarterback, and that's been Steve Young.
Yeah.
Who started off in Tampa Bay, but he had a chance to sit and learn.
Yeah.
And, he was in an offense that was built for him. There's not an offense in the NFL that's built for Blaine Gabbert. The guy is skittish. He's just a tall, blonde kid.
Yeah.
But as far as being able to win, you saw, a glimpse of him last year, late in the season in San Francisco. I think he won one of the 4 starts that he had.
Yeah.
But, even a blind squirrel will find an acorn every now and then.
I know I find them every now and then too, Big C.
But when you look at that quarterback battle, that's a quarterback battle that's been made up in the media. And we're part of the media, Charlton.
Yeah.
And we're guilty, like a lot of other people, of saying things that may not be profound. But when you look at Blaine Gabbert versus Colin Kaepernick, it's black and white. And that's what it comes down to. But everybody wants to say that Blaine Gabbert is this great savior. So
from high school, college maybe, but not the NFL, Big C.
Well, even in college, Charlton, he wasn't what people thought he was. You got to realize, at the University of Missouri, he followed Chase Daniels, who is now with his 3rd NFL team, and backing up actually battling Sam Bradford in Philadelphia. Sam Bradford is not the clear-cut starter going into the season, because they gave Chase Daniels $21 million in Philadelphia.
Right.
And Chase Daniels, in his senior year at the University of Missouri, threw for 2,500 more yards than what Blaine Gabbert did the year he came out being drafted. So, and 48 touchdowns, I believe, Chase Daniels threw. So, when you talk about a quarterback, quality of a quarterback, if the San Francisco wanted to have a quarterback to compete with Kaepernick, they should have traded for Chase Daniels last year from Kansas City. But they bring in Gabbert because Jacksonville didn't want him. And you think about Jacksonville knowledge of the NFL draft, Charlton? For the last 5 years, Jacksonville has drafted in the top 5 for the last 5 years. So they have a GM that really doesn't understand talent. And Blaine Gabbert is a perfect example of that.
Well, speaking of a perfect example, I want to say that this segment is also sponsored by One Life America Life Insurance. I'm a broker for One Life America Life Insurance, and I'm looking for 1,000 brokers to join our firm nationwide. And we also offer each broker up to $1 million of E&O insurance. The company takes care of that. Tweet out to Charlton and Big C Sports if you're a licensed insurance broker, and we are the leaders in the country when it comes to final expense on Charlton and Big C Sports. Also, BeneathHisWingsFoundation.org. Make a donation today. It's easy, it's fast, and secure. And when it comes to promotions, contact Cynthia Evans of CYNN Entertainment. When it comes to promotions, she's the best in Northern California. Also, I want to thank Becca Wright, the Business Cupid, helping hook up with promotions and also interviews with some of the top guys in the world of the MMA. Now, Big C, something that's near and dear to my heart in the final segment of the program is John Madden will present Ken Stabler into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the late Ken Stabler. And, he's going to do it with Skype because he's still recovering from some medical procedures. But Kenny the Snake Stabler played with the Raiders when they were indeed one of the most feared teams in the NFL. And they were a team that we know they got cheated at Pittsburgh when the ball hit the ground. And I think it was Terry Bradshaw threw the pass. It was hit off of Frenchie Fuqua. And I think it was picked up by Franco Harris off the ground, even though they didn't have one replay of that game, Big C. But he scored, and then, we know the rest from that. But the Raiders and John Madden, I got my first NFL opportunity with John Madden's production crew, and that was because of Mike Roig and Fran Morrison down at Fox Sports. But it was John Madden and Pat Summerall. They were in San Francisco for the 49ers versus the Chargers on a preseason football game. But just your thoughts on Kenny the Snake. I mean, what a clutch player. And I know he came from Alabama, and he did a great job in the NFL as well as Alabama. Your thoughts on him being inducted by the great John Madden, Big C?
Well, Charlton, when you think about the Snake, you think about quarterback university. A lot of people don't give it credit. Alabama. Yeah. Alabama, the University of Alabama has 3 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks.
Yeah.
The great Bart Starr, Joe Namath, and Kenny the Snake Stabler. And when he came to Oakland, he had to replace one of the most feared deep ball passes in the NFL at that time.
Yeah.
And that was Darryl Lamonaco, the Mad Bomber.
Yeah, out of Columbus.
And Stabler took over from him. He had 3 great receivers. He had Cliff Branch.
Yeah.
He had Fred Biletnikoff. And he had the Ghost, Dave Casper.
Oh, yeah.
But Kenny Stabler was a tactician when he was on the field, Charlton. He had command and presence on the field. He could read a defense. He knew where to put the ball. He was not worried about the pressure. He had a great offensive line. He had some huge hulking names in Art Shell, Gene Upshaw, George Zeeler. He started off with Abe Darby at center. So he had some players that could protect around him, Charlton. But Kenny Stabler was that teammate that everybody wanted to be about.
Yeah.
He was that relaxed guy. And when you have a quarterback who's relaxed and say, hey, just follow me. That's what the Snake was. And in dealing with the Snake over the years, Charlton, he was a great guy to have camaraderie with.
Oh, yeah.
And, he lost a couple of years ago through a heart attack. It's one of those things that we all face in life. But, the world of the NFL lost a great friend and leader when Kenny Stabler was gone. And John Madden, those two had so many great games. The Super Bowl that they beat the Vikings with, 1977
in Pasadena. Yeah.
The holy roller play against the San Diego Chargers where the NFL had to make a rule change that you could not push the ball forward anymore.
Yeah.
But, the Snake and the Raiders have so many fond memories throughout the NFL. They did so much for the league. Years and years of battling the Steelers in the championship games, Charlton, prevailing with the victory over the Vikings in '77 Super Bowl. But, when you think about the old-time players, you think about how many young modern players that you can remember that had an impact that would hold the person's life 20 years later, 30 years later, Charlton. That's the difference in a player who played the game because they wanted to play the game, not about playing the game because they want to feather a bank account, Charlton.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And that's the difference that we have nowadays. It's like entertainment. You had entertainers that were career entertainers that did it for the appreciation of the fan as well as they got paid.
Yeah.
And they had longevity in their careers, Charlton, and their exploits, their entertainment, their music, their films, they last.
Yeah.
Now you see these things, they're gone by the weekend, Charlton.
Well, Big C, that's so incredible, and I love so much what the world of sports has done worldwide. And again, I want to thank the iHeartRadio network for allowing us to come on at the prime time hour at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time worldwide, and I thank everyone for listening in. And I also want to add my Ali consciousness that I think is great, and I hope that Ali gets a holiday named after him. And I want to always say this: if you're an athlete and you're too afraid to make a difference and talk to kids about what it takes to be safe, sometimes you carry so much power and clout, because when you hear someone on radio or see someone on TV, sometimes it's kind of like a magical spell that comes over people, and people are sycophants to that. So, and again, it goes back to Michael Jordan standing up and talking about how to keep people safe. I really want to be an advocate to say to young black boys and white boys and Hispanic and Asian, doesn't matter who you are. I remember growing up, Big C, it was the elder members of the community that told the young boys how to behave. That when you saw young boys behaving truculently or getting out of line, it was the elder people, not just the clergy, but the elders that would say, hey, don't do that. Hey, don't speak that language. Don't use that profanity. Hey, show some class. Pull your pants up, because I know your parents. And because when I grew up, it wasn't about being afraid to listen to people. It was not wanting to embarrass my parents, because if my parents got word that I was a knucklehead, then I got disciplined when I got home too. And if a lot of people don't have that parental guidance at home anymore, and sometimes we blame the parents for everything, I want to say listen to Charlton and Big C Sports, because you're going to hear real talk, and we're not just going to feed you the score as if that's the only thing our brains can comprehend. So if you're afraid to stand up and tell kids how to behave and how to live, then have your kids do it, because the same person that may hurt your kid might be the same person that if he heard your voice telling him how to act right, maybe he would have gone in a better direction, because I know it happened in my life, Big C. And as we near the end of the program, Big C, I just want to get your thoughts too. I know the NFL is kicking off, and we have week 1 is going to be August the 11th for the preseason. Washington's playing at Atlanta, and Tampa's playing Philadelphia, as well as Carolina at Baltimore. And a game that I want to really pay attention to is the Denver Broncos at Chicago, because I want to see how the quarterback Sanchez does in Denver. But as we close out, Big C, just a few more things around the NFL. The Atlanta Falcons let go of their Devin Hester, who was their like Billy White Shoes Johnson for them. He was 2015. He had an injured-filled season, but Hester's only 33 years old, and he's a 3-time All-Pro who set an NFL record with 20 career returns for touchdowns. Do you think he's less valuable now because there's so much talk on moving the ball up, so we have less run backs, Big C? Why would a guy that has 20 career kickoff returns be released by the Falcons? Your thoughts on that, Big C?
Well, first of all, when they talk about eliminating the kickoffs, and I do believe Hester will surface with another team, Charlton, because a guy who can be that
20 touchdowns
while they still have special teams in the NBA, in the NFL.
Yeah.
How can you just let him go by the wayside?
Yeah.
And so when you look at these moves that some of these teams are making, some of them are partially financial, but you let Devin Hester go. You got Julio Jones on the other side of the field, Charlton, probably one of the top 3 paid wide receivers in the NFL, but you have a quarterback that for the past 2 seasons has not got it done. Matt Ryan, who has a $126 million contract.
Yeah.
You can reduce his contract, restructure, and keep a guy who can be instant offense on the special teams, because the kick return still, Charlton, is the most exciting play in any level of football that you can witness.
Yeah, that's true, Big C. And also, speaking of witnessing, I'm still asking Phil Knight for that $100 million contract. Okay, if you only do $1 million, that's fine too, Big C. He can give us $1 million to sponsor Charlton and Big C Sports. Phil, like we always say, just do it. And for you young people out there, no matter what color you are, take an hour a day to read. Just read something. There's a book called The 4 Agreements. Read that. It's about personal development. Also, the Kerner Commission. That's Kerner. Read that. Every young kid needs to read that, especially when we talk about all lives matter. And I want to be a source of consciousness, Big C. I'll let you close out the program because I know USC is getting ready for Alabama. And the guys are working out so hard. Lynn Swann had to tell them to take some time off. They're going to win the game anyway, but they don't want to be burned out when they roll into the great state of Texas, Big C. Your thoughts on Alabama and how they're getting ready for that game, Big C?
Well, Charles, a practice game is a practice game, whether you do it at home or whether you do it at
okay.
But that's how the game is being approached. They will make sure that the real players are playing.
Yes.
And USC is still trying to figure it out. They're going through growth pains. They got a new quarterback. They got a new head coach.
16 returning linemen.
What else?
Yeah.
They're going to need a new horse when the game is over because, trust me, the barbecue will be over.
Okay.
And so, but it's that time of the year, Charlton.
Oh, I love it.
Forward to.
I love it.
And that's football.
Yes.
Whether it's high school football, whether it's Pop Warner football, Charlton, whether it's pro football. We all know the perils and dangers of football, and it's not going to go away. The game is trying to be made safer and safer. The NFL has made tremendous strides to secure the safety of its players.
Yeah.
And that's a trickle-down effect of what the NFL does. Everybody else follows the studies of the NFL. And I want to say to those parents of all the kids in youth football, be cautious.
Yeah.
Pay attention to your children every day after practice. Don't just say how was practice. Make sure you sit down and have a conversation with them. Make sure they didn't take any excessive blows to the head and they're not totally cognizant about what's going on around it. We're talking to all the parents of the Pop Warner and high school children.
Yeah.
Spend some time with your children, just like we talk about reading. Spend some time communicating with your child. Your child may be the great next athlete to make it to the NFL, but he has to be healthy mentally before he is physically, Charlton.
And Big C, that is so great. I appreciate you saying that. So we heard there's a program called Jocks versus Pros, and I want to say computers versus shoes, and we hope that Charlton and Big C Sports can come to you every Monday through Friday worldwide from 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We want kids to have computers more than tennis shoes and hats, because that's the future, the young generation. And if we can help educate you and even open your eyes a little bit by listening to Charlton and Big C Sports, we will continue doing that. So whether you're in London, England, whether you're in Berlin, whether you're in Australia, or if you're in France or the great United States, every Monday through Friday, 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time worldwide, please listen to the Charlton and Big C Sports. And we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.